My name's Eve. I'm a mother of 3. I've got 2 little grandchildren. I used to be a registered nurse, but now I work in the community supporting people with learning disabilities. I am English. I don't sound like it, perhaps. I grew up in New Zealand, but I've lived here for about 30 years. I'm a pagan. That's an umbrella term. It covers all sorts of faiths and traditions. Myself, I started off practicing as a solitary witch. Sometimes we're called hedge witches. That's a kind of witch that doesn't belong to a coven. But for the last 17 or 18 years, I've been a druid. So nowadays I mostly practice as a druid, but I still count myself as both. Paganism's usually defined as a nature-based spirituality. So most pagans would see the meaning and purpose of life as honouring and protecting the earth. We're all children of earth. We count ourselves as part of Mother Nature. We see deity or the divine within nature. And so our purpose is to live honourably and in harmony and peace with other beings within nature. I think actually that would be a fairly universal view among pagans. There is one pagan path, it's called heathenry, and they're the people who worship the ancient Scandinavian and Germanic gods, so people like Odin and Thor. So heathens, there are many different types of heathens. Some wouldn't consider themselves pagans. They worship the gods more directly rather than honouring nature. But they do also honour beings within nature, supernatural beings called wights. So in a way, yes, they are basing some of their practice around nature, but some would put their purpose differently. A heathen would say their purpose in life is to live honourably in a way that ensures they leave a good reputation behind them and which pleases the gods and gods that they serve. Well, in paganism, we don't have any sacred texts, so this is always a really difficult question. If you say that scriptures or sacred texts are words that are handed down from a god or a goddess, then we don't have any, I'm afraid. That's because most of us are neo-pagans. That means we're new pagans. So we are making up our own words and ceremonies and traditions, our own body of writing. We would say in Druidry, in my particular tradition, we would say that nature and myth are our teachers. So we work with mythology a lot. Well, there's a story in the Mabinogion. It's a very long story, so I can't tell it to you. It's the story of Blodaiweth. And it's a story of different kinds of love, but some very unfortunate events happen. It's a very exciting story. But I would use that story to reflect on different kinds of love within my life and how even acting from a good motive like love might possibly have very bad consequences. So that would be an example of using myth. Well, pagans actually believe that the divine transcends gender. That means it's more than gender. So although we believe the divine has aspects of masculine and feminine, so male and female, it's more than that. So for us, we have many goddesses and gods, and we are split into 2 different kinds, really, 2 main kinds of pagans. We have polytheists and pantheists. Now, polytheists believe that all their gods and goddesses are separate beings. So to use that heathen example again, Odin and Thor and Loki are separate gods. So they're polytheists. Many other pagans are pantheists, so they believe that there is one supreme female goddess and one great god, and that they have different aspects. Now, when I say we split into 2, pagans are really complicated, and other pagans wouldn't say that at all. Some pagans believe in the Great Spirit, Some other pagans believe in the supreme principle. Some pagans just honour the earth and they don't use the names of gods and goddesses at all. So there's lots of diversity, but that's fine. You can believe many different things and still be a pagan. We don't have any set dogma, we don't have no set of rules that tell us that we must believe one thing or another. It's a personal journey of discovery. So all pagans would agree on this, I believe, is that they go on a quest to discover their true nature. They don't have a set of commandments or a book that tells them how to do this. They may have teachers, they may commune with nature, they may reflect on myth, but people need to find this understanding for themselves. It can be quite a hard path because it's a path that you make for yourself. And often we talk about pagans, we're all walking our own path, but we're all heading in the same direction, which is possibly about as much as you can say we have in common. I tried many other faiths, many other religions. So I tried Christianity, I tried Buddhism. And for someone of my generation, that's a really common story that you hear. So people like myself, as a teenager and a young adult, we felt that need, but we tried other religions first, but none of them fitted until one day, that moment happens when you come across something, a book or a person. For me, it was actually discovering, I heard a story. Someone stood up a meeting and told a story, and I went away and I read those myths for myself. And that really answers something within me. So how do you know it's true? You have to find it out for yourself in paganism, because there's no set of rules to tell you. Oh, pagan marriage, it's called hand fasting. And that's because part of the way through the ceremony, the bride and groom get their hands tied together with a special cord. So their hands are fasted together. But the big thing that people remember about pagan hand fastings is that we jump over a broomstick. Really, we jump over a broomstick. It happens at the very end of the ceremony, and someone brings along a decorated broomstick, one of those old-fashioned ones, a besom one. They jump over the broomstick together, and at that point they are hand fasted, they are married, or at least in our religious. But hand fastings for us, they're usually outdoors, nearly always. We will go to a special site. They're outdoors because the great outdoors is our temple, because we honour nature. We're invited to reflect on the union of the goddess and the god, if in that tradition that the bride and the groom follow has a goddess and a god. It might be actual named goddesses or gods. So it might be, for example, I have assisted a hand fasting where the bride had a particular devotion to the goddess Isis. So we were invited to reflect on the sacred union, and we see it in the cycle of the seasons around us. So, for example, if it was in springtime, this particular one was at Beltane, which is the 1st of May. So the world has come to life, the seeds have sprouted, things are starting to flower, we're looking forward to summer. So we see how the union of the goddess and the god have caused rebirth, brought about rebirth in the world. So we would see the hand fasting as being an echo of what happens in the natural world around us. Having said that, we have same-sex hand fastings, and we would still, though, reflect on the way our deity, our understanding of the divine, encompasses both male and female, and is more than that.